Let's go ahead and talk about the September 9th, 2025 episode of NXT. Now, we kick off the show with the first match of the night, actually, where we see Javon Evans making his way out there to the ring. He came through the crowd and everything. He had a mic in his hands, and he's calling out Josh Briggs. And then Josh Briggs starts coming out there. The referee's trying to stop him, and we see the NXT general manager, Ava, try to stop him as well. But then Javon jumps over the top rope with a crossbody, and Javon starts beating him down. Javon then picks him up, throws him inside the ring, and then we get the match started. Javon was getting the upper hand in the beginning, hitting a frog splash onto Briggs. Briggs kicked out at 2. This match, it was pretty good. It was fast-paced and everything from Javon Evans and all that, hitting suicide dives and everything onto Josh Briggs, trying to beat him down and everything. But then Briggs is trying to come back at the ending, but then Javon starts coming back as well, super kicking Briggs because Briggs was trying to bring in a steel chair, and Briggs was trying to pull it away from the ref because the ref done grabbed it, and he got super kicked by Javon, and then Javon was trying to hit the cutter off the top turnbuckle onto Briggs, but while the referee has back turn putting away the steel chair, Briggs had a chain in his hands, hitting Javon in the back of the head with it, and then he pins Javon for the 1, 2, 3. So yeah, Josh Briggs defeated Javon Evans tonight in a one-on-one match. For that match, I'll give it 3 stars. That's why I'll give it was a pretty good match to open up the show. But then after that, we see the NXT champion Obafemi and Ricky Saints arguing backstage, and Ava tells them that they're going to be settling their differences next week on NXT Homecoming, where they're going to be on the Grace Waller effect. So yeah, that's what she tells them there. But then we see the TNA World Heavyweight Champion Trick Williams. He comes in there, and Trick wants to make sure to Ava that, he gets to call out DIY up next, and she says that everything's worked out. So yeah, that's what happened there. So it looks like up next we're going to be seeing Trick Williams and DIY up next on NXT. So yeah, that'll be the next segment of the night. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Till then. The next thing to happen on NXT, we get to the next segment of the night where we see Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano, DIY. They come out there to the ring and they start talking about the past and everything. Talking about how even though they're on SmackDown and everything, Johnny Gargano says that he still is NXT. And he says that he'll be on NXT as well. So yeah, that's what Johnny Gargano was saying there, and then they was talking about what happened last week with Trick Williams and everything, but then all of a sudden they get interrupted by the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, Trick Williams. Trick comes out there, and Trick was talking about what happened last week on NXT and everything, how it became 2-on-1, how they was attacking him and double-teaming him and all that stuff. So yeah, that's what Trick was talking about there, but then he says that he did not come here alone, and then out comes Carmelo Hayes. Carmelo Hayes comes out there, and yeah, Carmelo actually got into the ring and he's standing in front of DIY, but then he turns his attention to Trick and he gets face to face with him, and then he tells Trick that, DIY are 2 legends on NXT and everything, and that, they needs to be respecting them and all that stuff. So yeah, that's what Mello was saying there, and Mello was talking about how how all 3 of them are OGs and everything, and how Trick Williams is just a squatter in their house, and he says that he needs to be respecting them. So yeah, that's what Mello was telling Trick there, and Mello was talking about what's been going on for like the year and a half after he left NXT, and he was talking about how Trick was talking a lot of crap about him, and then Trick actually owns up to it, and he says that, he was talking a lot of crap about Mello, and he says that he does apologize for that because Miller didn't deserve that. So yeah, that's what Trick was saying there. And then Johnny Gargano cuts it out, and he says that how about next week on NXT, that 2 generations of NXT goes at it at Homecoming, at NXT Homecoming, it'll be DIY versus Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes in a tag team match. And it looks like that match is now set for next week's episode of NXT Homecoming with those 2 teams going at it. So yeah, that's the match that's now set, which is going to be pretty damn good for damn sure. But yeah, that's what happened there. We're going to be seeing Carmelo Hayes teaming up with Trick Williams once again. But yeah, that's what happened there. Pretty good segment to reunite Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams for one night for NXT Homecoming. But yeah, that's what happened there. And up next, we're going to be seeing a number one contenders speed title match up next on NXT. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Till then. So the next thing that happened on NXT, we get to the next match of the night. It was Lainey Reed versus Fabi Apache in a one-on-one match in this speed title tournament. Natalia was at ringside, like in the crowd and everything, watching this match. We get to this match. This match is pretty decent. It was back and forth and everything, but Fabi was taking control of this. Fabi was taking control of this match. She was up there on the top turnbuckle. Natalia gets over the barricade, and she gets distracted. Fabi tries to jump off a swanton bomb, but misses. And then that's when Lainey Reed hits a running knee to the face onto Fabi, pinning her for the 3 count. So, yeah, Lainey Reed defeated Fabi Apache tonight in a one-on-one match to advance to the finals of the speed title tournament, where she will be taking on Candice LeRae next week on NXT Homecoming. So, yeah, that's what happened there. For that match, I'll give it 1 star. That's why I'll give it. But then after that match ended, we get to a backstage segment with Sol Ruca and Zarya talking. And Sol Ruca was talking about winning 3 titles and stuff and how she should wear it and all that stuff. And Zarya was talking about how she wants a title as well. But then we see Hank and Tank coming up, and Hank and Tank talking about how, Zarya and Sol Ruca should win the WWE Women's Tag Team titles and all that stuff. And they was talking about they're going to go after the tag team titles on NXT. So yeah, that's what he was talking about there. And yeah, still a lot more stuff to come later on tonight on NXT. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Till then. So the next thing that happened on NXT, we get to the next match of the night. It was the NXT Tag Team Champions Dion Lennox and Osiris Griffin with Saquon Sugars and Cutler James at ringside, Dark State versus Hank Walker and Tank Ledger in a tag team match for the NXT Tag Team Championship. So yeah, we get to this match, and Hank and Tank was taking control of this match in the very beginning, knocking Osiris off the ring apron, and then they hit their tag team finish move onto, I think it was actually Osiris that they hit their tag team finish move on, and then they got a 2 count of that because Dion was the one that broke it up. So yeah, my bad about that. Osiris was the one that got hit with the move. But yeah, we continue on with this match, and then we see Cutler James interfering and stuff, and then he said Joe Hendry's not going to be out here to save you, to Tank, and then Joe Hendry appears. He starts chasing after Cutler James inside the ring and everything. The referee's distracted by all that stuff, and while he was distracted and everything, we see we see Hank rolling up Dion for a pin, and the referee ain't counting it because he's distracted, and then that's when Osiris comes in there pushing Hank down, and Dion rolls over top of him, pinning him for the 1, 2, 3. So yeah, Dark State defeated Hank Walker and Tank Ledger tonight in a tag team match to retain the NXT Tag Team Championships. That's what happened there. Pretty good match though for that match. I'll give it 3.5 stars. That's what I'll give it. It was a pretty good, entertaining tag team match there. But yeah, that's what happened there. Pretty good one there. But yeah, up next, it'll be the next match of the night. It'll be the NXT North American Champion Ethan Page versus Tavion Heights in a flag match up next on NXT. So yeah, flag match will be on NXT up next on the show. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Till then. So the next thing that happened on NXT, now before we talk about the flag match, we got to talk about a segment backstage where we see Lexis King talking to Charlie Dempsey backstage, and he was talking about Miles Bourne and everything, but then Miles Bourne comes in there with a steel chair. He turns off the lights and beats down Lexis King with a steel chair. So yeah, that's what happened there, getting payback on him. But then after that, we get to the flag match. It was Tavion Heights versus the NXT North America Champion, Ethan Page, in the flag match. And yeah, we get to this match, and immediately Ethan Page tries to grab the Canadian flag, but then Tavion Heights stops him. It was going back and forth and everything, both guys trying to grab each other's flag and all that stuff. But then at the ending, we see Tavion Heights hit a belly-to-belly suplex off the top turnbuckle onto Ethan Page, and then he climbs up the top turnbuckle, grabbing the American flag, winning the flag match. So yeah, Tavion Heights defeated the NXT North America Champion Ethan Page in the flag match tonight on NXT, and then he goes over there to the other side, grabbing the Canadian flag, and then he lays the Canadian flag over Ethan Page, and he's holding up the American flag. So yeah, that's what happened there. For that match, I'll give it 3 stars. That's what I'll give it. But then after that match ended, all of a sudden, Tyler Breeze comes out there, and Tyler Breeze came through the crowd with the phone and the selfie stick and all that stuff, and then he gets in the ring taking a selfie of him and Ethan Page while Ethan Page is laid out. So yeah, that's what happened there with NXT Homecoming coming up next week on NXT. So yeah, it was great to see Tyler Breeze out there. But yeah, I'll see you guys later until the next thing that happens on NXT. See you guys later. Till then. So the next thing that happened on NXT, we get to the next match of the night. It was the NXT Women's North America Champion, Women's Speed Champion, Sol Ruca and Zarya versus Tatum Paxley and Izzy Dame with Nico Vance and Shawn Spears the calling versus Fallon Henley and Jasmine Nix with the NXT Women's Champion JC Jane at ringside. Fatal Influence in a triple threat tag team elimination match, number one contenders match, pretty much. So yeah, that's what it is. Winner of this match will be the number one contenders for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. So yeah, we get to this match, and this match, it was a really good triple threat tag team match. Like, all three of these teams beating the hell out of each other, going back and forth and everything. Sol Ruca was like really the star of this match for a majority of the time, but at one point, she was trying to soul snatcher onto Jasmine Nix, or I think it was on the Tatum Paxley, actually, and then Zarya got pushed into Tatum, which knocked Tatum out of the way on accident, and then that's when Sol Ruca accidentally hits a Soul Snatcher onto Zarya. They threw Sol Ruca out of the ring, and they pinned Zarya for the 1, 2, 3, eliminating Sol Ruca and Zarya. So yeah, they got eliminated from the match, and now we was down to two teams, the Calling versus Fatal Influence. It was back and forth and everything. The Calling coming up near falls a couple of times in this one, same for Fatal Influence. But then at the ending of this match, we see Jasmine Nix get knocked out of the ring, and then we see Izzy Dame hitting the sit-out spinebuster onto Fallon Henley, pinning her for the 1, 2, 3. So yeah, the Calling defeated Fatal Influence, Sol Ruca, and Zarya in the triple threat tag team elimination match to become the number one contenders for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. That's what happened there. Really great match. So for that match, I'll give it 3.5 stars. That's why I'll give it. It was a great triple threat tag team match right there. But yeah, that's what happened there. But then after the match ended, JC Jane grabs the mic and she starts cutting into a new one into Fatal Influence, fussing out Fallon Henley and Jasmine Nix, talking about she don't care whose fault it was. She says that both of them pretty much made her a mockery and everything as the leader of the women's division. So yeah, that's what JC Jane was talking about there, complaining and everything. And while she was complaining, all of a sudden we see 3 SUVs pulling up to the arena in the parking lot. So yeah, that's what happened there, and we're going to be seeing who is up next. So yeah, I'll see you guys later until the next thing that happens on NXT. See you guys later. Till then. So the next thing that happened on NXT, we get to the next segment of the night where we see Fatal Influence still standing in the ring with JC Jane on the mic, and she was talking a lot of crap to Jasmine Nix and Fallon Henley, talking about how they embarrassed her and everything, and she was talking about now they ain't going to be at NXT Homecoming because of the failures and all that stuff, and she was talking about how she's the greatest NXT Women's Champion of all time, and how she carried the division, how she carried Fatal Influence and all that stuff. So yeah, that's what she was saying there. But then while she was saying that, she gets interrupted by Stephanie Vaquer. So yeah, Stephanie comes out there, and Stephanie starts talking about how she was once the NXT Women's Champion and NXT Women's North American Champion at the same time. And then she says that JC Jane did defeat her for the NXT Women's Championship. And that's what she was saying there. But she says that, at WrestlePalooza she'll be champion once again. And then all of a sudden, she says that it's a time as well. And then all of a sudden, here comes the WWE Women's Champion, Tiffany Stratton. She comes out there, and Tiffany was talking about how it's Tiffany time and all that stuff. And then JCJ was talking about how they're a bunch of senior citizens and all that stuff now from NXT. And then all of a sudden, Tiffany says that she don't think that mommy's going to be liking that when she heard about that. And then also out comes Rhea Ripley. And then Rhea Ripley was talking about how there's 3 of them and 3 of them as well. And that next week it'll be a 6-women's tag team match. And they said that, they can handle some business now. And they all 3 gets into the ring, knocking Fatal Influence out of the ring. And you see Rhea Ripley, Stephanie Vaquer, and Tiffany Stratton standing tall in the middle of the ring to end off the show. So yeah, that's what happened there. Pretty good segment there. But yeah, there's going to be a 6-women's tag team match next week on NXT now. But yeah, pretty good ending to NXT for match of the night. I gotta say, it was that triple threat tag team elimination match. That match was definitely match of the night there. But yeah, for tonight's NXT, I'll give it 8 stars. That's why I'll give it. It was a pretty good show. But yeah, NXT Homecoming is next week. I'll definitely be talking about that. But yeah, They announced a lot of matches for NXT Homecoming next week. But yeah, like, subscribe to TNW Wrestling on YouTube, subscribe to my other channel, Word of Chris, and subscribe to this channel, Chris McDaniels. Follow me on all my social media accounts, and I'll be down there in the description box, and I'll see you guys later for my AEW Dynamite reviews tomorrow night. So yeah, look out for that, and yeah, I'll see you guys later. Till then.